Vancouver. Unfortunately, I have to reschedule. There's a lot that goes on to getting in and out of our countries, and until that's a little easier, I'm going to have to postpone the Vancouver and the Edmonton shows. But Thursday, March 3rd, I will be at Zany's for one night only, and Friday, March 4th, and Saturday, March 5th, I'll be in Lexington. Get all your tickets at RyanSickler.com.
The HoneyDew with Ryan Sickler.
Welcome back to the HoneyDew, y'all. We're over here doing it in the Night Pants Studios. I am Ryan Sickler, RyanSickler.com, Ryan Sickler on all your social media. Look, I want to thank you for your support. The show continues to grow because of you, and I cannot thank you enough. So if you're watching the show, please hit that subscribe button right there and subscribe, all right? It helps the show. It's a free way, and it really does mean a lot to us. The Patreon, again, another show that continues to grow. Every month, I think, man, can't possibly hear some new shit, and you guys never let us down. The Patreon is called The HoneyDew with Y'all. It's $5 a month. If you sign up for a year, you're getting over a month free, all right? You get The HoneyDew a day early, ad-free at no additional cost. And if you or someone you know has that story that has to be heard, please submit it to honeydewpodcast@gmail.com, all right? Hopefully we get to do an episode together. I say it every week. We've talked to the wildest people, wildest stories from people who have died, from people who've been abandoned and paralyzed in the wilderness, people who just now meeting their biological parents. I mean, death. What we had to, I always say, the girl with two pussies. Came back, one pussy, okay? We're doing shit over here, changing lives, all right? That's what's going on with the HoneyDew, y'all. Now, the Night Pants Nation tour continues to roll. Get your tickets at RyanSickler.com. March 3rd, one night only, I will be in Zany's, Nashville. March 4th and 5th, I'm in Lexington, Kentucky. Again, all tickets are available at RyanSickler.com. Now, you guys know what we do over here. We highlight the low lights. These are the stories behind the storytellers. Today's guest, I'm beyond excited and thrilled to have on here. First time on the HoneyDew. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Tony Hawk. Welcome to the HoneyDew, Tony Hawk.
Thank you very much.
Dude, 16-year-old me, 48-year-old me, all of me is freaking out right now.
I appreciate it.
For real, thank you. I'm going to say this to you. I said it to you before we began, but in the 10, 11 years I've been podcasting, you have been the most professional, easiest to deal with, kind. You've been like, hey, I can't do this, but I can do this. I'll let you know on this. We get people who come on and record and then want to cancel it, show up day of, cancel, never mind. It's the comedians are the biggest pain in the ass. And you are the one person, in my opinion, who could act like a diva if you wanted to. You've earned the right, and you are the kindest, nicest person. So thank you, Tony Hawk, for being a breeze to deal with.
I think it's, well, for one, it stems from being on the other side of it, because now we are podcasting. I had a radio show on SiriusXM for 10 years, so no, almost 15 years. But I know the other side of that, and so I know that it's so frustrating on the other side, and it also just feels... It feels insulting when people just ghost you.
Ghost you, yes.
Ghost you when you've, and it wasn't easy. I mean, just in terms of the radio show, a lot of times I was setting up interviews at the SiriusXM studios in LA. I'd have to drive up here from San Diego, and then someone's like, I can't do it.
Yes. You're like, huh?
I can't
or
won't.
It's raining today.
Yeah.
Like, what? Yeah,
Right.
I know. I fell down the fucking steps this morning. I know that.
Right. But at the same time, this is what you get. I'm not working through a bunch of agents and PR people.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. No agent, no PR person. You've been dealing with this, so thank you.
Sure.
All right, so there's a million things I want to talk to you about, but before we do, please plug, promote everything you'd like.
Oh, I'm never prepared for that.
Well, you got a great new
Birdhouse
podcast.
Skateboards is my baby. We're 30 years old this year, so
Congrats.
that's exciting, and
Yeah.
and we still going strong. We had a good team. Hawk versus Wolf is a podcast with Jason Ellis. We're having a blast doing that every week and getting really
It's
good
great.
guests.
It
Thank
really
you.
is great. Yeah.
I would say if I'm going to plug anything, it's weird to be plugging it, but Sam Jones did a documentary about my career called Until the Wheels Fall Off, and that is coming to HBO, I think in April.
All right.
They haven't officially. I've gotten some dates, but I don't know exactly which date is the real one yet. But I think it's in April.
Dude, that's a great title. I'm fucking stoked for that.
Thank you,
All
Sam. I think I don't think I would have wanted to do it with anyone else but Sam, because he really has a very soulful approach to it.
Have you seen it? Did you see the final cut
I
yet?
saw a very, very early rough cut, and the only reason I saw it was not to control the narrative of it, but just to be more factual, to be like a fact checker, and to make sure that the footage is legit, because there's a lot of footage out there from old skate parks and stuff, and sometimes you don't know who shot it or who's in it. So
You got all that stuff over the years.
he found
He
found some nuggets. Yeah.
Did he find any stuff where you're like, holy shit,
Yes.
where'd you get this?
Absolutely.
Yeah?
Yes.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
What's that feel like?
It's weird because in the age of the new media, it feels like everything has been uncovered or documented. And so it's hard to believe that there's just stuff that's been sitting on a tape in a storage, that no one either they forgot about it or they don't care about it. And it's like, this stuff is golden. It's amazing.
Well, I know, like, again, as a kid, like I want to say this. People always say the Michael Jordan of. They even say, is Tony Hawk the Michael Jordan of skating? But look, I'm sincere when I say this. I think we need to change that term to the Tony Hawk of. You're how old now?
53.
You're 53. You're still out there skating against teenagers. You're still doing the damn thing. Michael Jordan, all respect to MJs, I haven't seen him do a fucking layup in the NBA. You're still out there, and skating is a million more times dangerous than basketball. Like, at any moment doing the shit you do, you could be paralyzed. Every single time that you're flipping.
That's definitely a theme of this documentary that I was talking about. But hey, I'm just honored if anyone even speaks my name in the same sentence as Michael Jordan. So
well, fuck that. You need to everybody from now on is the Tony Hawk of. You are the epitome of. Also, Michael Jordan may have saved a league that already existed, but skateboarding was like, I was the kid that I was telling you, I skated to your house. I wasn't rail sliding and fucking up and down on ramps. My buddy Matt Schilling's dad built a half pipe in his backyard, and they all would drop it. And I just remember looking at it like, nah, I know. I'm not that graceful enough. And, whenever your board would drop, we would go to White Marsh Mall, and it was the one place that had like a skate shop. And we would just stare at that because we couldn't afford that board. You know what I mean? And we're looking at it, and then our friends would start getting it and everything. We got to cut grass. We got to sell our candy money. I'm like, oh my God. So you have so many accolades. I looked some stuff up, and there was some interesting stuff. And I want to ask you genuinely if it's true. I know I asked you this one already, but I read that you have a roller coaster named after you.
I did. Yes.
You did. Where?
Yeah.
Where was this?
At Six Flags.
Out here?
It was. They had two of these roller coasters. One was in St. Louis, and I believe the other one is in San Antonio. Is there San Antonio Six Flags?
Probably.
It's criminal that I don't know that, but
But are they still there?
No. Well, here's how it all played out. Six Flags wanted our tour. We did this Boom Boom Huck Jam tour, which was skateboarding, BMX, and motocross as entertainment, as a show. And they wanted us to do this tour that we used to do in arenas and bring it to their parks.
I see.
So we did this sort of scaled down version that we could do outdoors of the same show. And they said, well, in that same deal, we want to do a licensing thing with you to brand a ride, because they just had this new ride that they were working on. So it was all together. And so it was called Tony Hawk's Big Spin. And basically 4 people sat in a cart, and the cart spun around as it went around the track. It was super cool. It was fun. And I added my aesthetics to it, graphics, things. They made the little cars look like skateboards.
Oh, that's cool.
It was cool.
Yeah.
I got to ride it. My mom, she passed away, but I think she was 80 when we did that deal. She came out to the grand opening and I rode it with her.
No.
She was 80.
How awesome is that?
It was pretty cool.
That's badass.
And
That's
then
fucking badass.
And
I
so
love that.
then Six Flags went through a bunch of changes. I think they might have even were at risk of bankruptcy. There was a lot of weird stuff going on. So basically that ended our deal, and because there was no more agreement between us, they had to rebrand the roller coaster. So I think those roller coasters are still there. I don't know what they're called
it's
now.
It's not the Tony Hawk
experience
or whatever.
No. But I'm sure if you scrape off some paint, you can see that the wheels are still there on the bottom. Still got those skateboard wheels.
All right, here's another one I was interested about too. I read this. You struck out in baseball and you had to be physically coaxed out of a ravine or something like that by your dad.
It's just like the cliche Bad News Bears scene.
Yeah, but what was that all about? Were you strong-minded?
Yeah, that would be the
stubborn,
candy-coated term my mom would use probably. Stubborn for sure. I think it was more that when I went to go play baseball, I didn't consider losing or the effects of losing because I just thought, oh, I'm going to go play baseball. I'm going to come up to bat and I'm going to hit a home run. Like that, there was no other option.
Right.
And then I struck out and I was like, what is this? No one prepared me for this scenario. I mean, I was 8 or 9 maybe. And then I just ran because I felt like I disappointed, my dad who was helping to coach the team, but I also felt like I just disappointed the whole team. And that shame was overwhelming and I just went and hid. And it was like, you're not gonna pull me back out because I'm just gonna screw it up for everyone again.
It's really interesting you say that. You're right, because you are only 8 or 9 and it's to be expected at some point, but no one can ever prepare you for how your body's gonna process failure. And
yeah,
that's interesting. So they had to get you. Did you finish the game, or were you like, nah, fuck that shit, Dad?
I think that. Yeah,
we're
good
gonna
question.
play with 8.
I think that I was way more hesitant to swing after that, and I just got walked on the next at bat.
Were you good at sports?
I was okay. I was just really small, so I was pretty good
And how tall are you right now?
I'm 6'3", but when I was young, I was really small and super skinny. I mean, I was like I was the typical like little kid everyone's bullying because I looked like I was 2 grades lower than I should be. I mean, I looked like, I was 2 grades lower than I was in. And then I played baseball. I was shortstop. I did okay. Like I would get on base and I'd make plays and stuff, but it wasn't outstanding. And then I played basketball and I was pretty scrappy in basketball because I wasn't really afraid to get hurt. So I was a good player, but I wasn't tall enough to really make baskets that much. So I'd get to the hoop and then I'd miss.
I see you right there.
Like I'm free and clear of everyone. I got the ball and just like, And so, but I did pretty well. Like my second season of playing basketball, I made our area's all-stars. And then then baseball season would come back in and I started skating around age 10. And as I started skating and really diving into what was possible and how to do things and the professionals, it was like, this is it. This is what I want to do. And I had to tell my dad that I don't want to play baseball anymore. The very season that they appointed him president of the Little League.
No.
Halfway through the season. Yeah.
Really? You're like, I'm out there.
I told him, yeah. I'm pretty sure that I know.
Oh shit! This
might be my mind romanticizing it, but I'm pretty sure that I know that my mom came to pull me out of the skate park to go to baseball practice. So she came to pick me up. I was like, no, I'm trying this trick. She's like, you've got to go. Baseball practice. And then I went reluctantly, just super stewing the whole time. And then when I got to baseball practice, I decided right then and there that I was going to tell my dad I don't want to play anymore. I still had my knee pads on from the skate park.
Yeah.
Walking up in defiance.
And they're like, da, 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 da. They're about to nominate him as president. You're like,
oh, they did. He was president, but still coaching our team.
Oh, shit.
But to his credit, he supported me and finished out the year as the Little League president.
Did he? Good for him.
Yeah,
He did one term, just
I'm
one
at the
term.
skate park.
Yeah,
Getting busted up.
He has no kid play. He's probably the only president / coach with no child.
And he was older when I was born, so he was like grandpa. At the,
really?
At the
How
field.
old was he when he had you?
He was 45.
Okay, he's older than me. I was 41. I always think about that too. Like they're gonna be like, "Hey, is that your grandpa at your graduation?" I'm like, "No, you little fucking asshole."
Yeah,
I'm her dad.
Yeah, and then people always thought my siblings were my parents.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
All right, we're gonna go through a couple more of these, and then we're gonna go talk about how it all got started. All right. By the way, IQ of 144.
I don't know if that's still valid, but
you had it at one point.
I had a good run with it.
Man,
so
numbers are numbers, bro. Those stats don't lie. All right, 1999, first skateboard, your first person to land a 900, right?
Yeah.
And in 2011, you did it again at 43.
2018
at 43.
Yeah.
Okay, that's Google. And then,
it's just math.
But didn't you do it again at 48?
Oh, at 43. Yes, you're right. 20. Sorry, I thought you were jumping to that one. Yes.
So you've done 3 of those.
No, I've done it.
A bunch.
Yeah.
But the last
I did
one,
it actually on that Huck Jam tour. I did it almost every other night.
Are you serious?
For like 30 shows. Yeah. It's hard because the trick is really what's really dangerous, but it's also it has to happen organically. It's hard for me to plan it. And so in those tours when I felt like I was on point, I felt like I was loose, I would just try to do it and then I would see it through.
You were never like, okay, I'm going to go do this now and skate with the intention.
If I set out to do it, it was much harder to get there. And sometimes not at all.
And at 48 is the last time you did that?
Yeah, it was because I was...
I'm 48 right now. Listen, man, I hold on the rail going down the stairs, okay? For real. 48. Michael Jordan's not out there playing basketball at 8. You're doing a 900 at 48. That's 2.5 turns, right? Is my math correct?
Yes.
On a skateboard that you land. And at 48 years old, dude, you're fucking amazing. That's amazing.
Thank you.
And then, okay, also... You skated at the White House?
I did. I got invited. It was during the Obama administration. I got invited to be there for a Father's Day event where they were trying to advocate for fathers being present and being involved in their kids' lives. And they had a bunch of different athletes and TV personalities, musicians, and stuff that were fathers. And they were all they were visiting the White House. They had a big event and then they would fan out to different charity projects around DC to go visit and talk to people. But I went and I brought my skateboard because everywhere I go, if I don't have my skateboard, people say, "Where's your skateboard?" It's just, they just expect, and like, just, do they expect Tom Brady to just be holding a football everywhere he goes? Like,
a football.
It's just this thing that they expect me, or that like, did you skate here?
Did you?
And so
across
I went.
The country.
And so I did. I just brought it because I just thought, I'm not going to be caught at the White House with my skateboard. And then at some point...
But did you have the thought before?
I didn't think of that before.
Never.
And then at some point, I was looking around and no one's around. I mean, I know they're watching you, obviously.
There's cameras everywhere.
But I had a dude that was sort of my escort tour guide through, or just making sure everything is cool. And I was like, "Can you shoot a photo of me if I skate down?" He's like, I can't do that. And this other athlete came up. I think it was a basketball player, came up behind him. And I was like, "Dude, shoot this photo." And just skated down the hall and he shot it. And then I put it out there and caused a stir.
Fuck. You've done more for your sport than any other athlete has done for their sport.
I don't know if that's doing something for the sport, but I was celebrating. I mean, for me, I was celebrating why I got there.
Sure.
And just the idea that I rode a skateboard and that brought me to an invitation to the White House. Like, that's amazing.
Isn't it?
And people, there was all this weird, haters were like, "You're disrespecting our house." And it was like, I rolled urethane wheels.
Just wait a few more years, guys.
Yeah.
Just wait a few more years if you think this is disrespecting the White House.
I wasn't doing nada spins on George Washington's bust or anything.
No one's storming anything.
No.
Settle down, guys. If you have multiple credit card balances each month and you're only paying the minimums, barely making a dent in your credit card debt, it can be discouraging. Upstart can help you pay off your existing debt quickly so you can feel like you're finally getting ahead. Whether it's paying off credit cards, consolidating high-interest debt, or funding personal expenses, over 1 million people have used Upstart to get one fixed monthly payment with a clear payoff date. Upstart knows you're more than just your credit score, so rather than looking at your credit score alone, Upstart's model considers other factors like your income, your employment, and other information provided in your loan application to find you a smarter rate for your loan. And you can check your rate without impacting your credit score in just 5 minutes for loans between $1,000 all the way up to $50,000. And you can even receive funds as fast as 1 business day after accepting your loan. Find out how Upstart can lower your monthly payments today when you go to upstart.com/honeydew. That's upstart.com/honeydew. Don't forget to use my URL to let them know I sent you. Loan amounts will be determined based on your credit, income, and certain other information provided in your loan application. Go to upstart.com/honeydew. Today's program is brought to you by Athletic Greens, the health and wellness company that makes comprehensive daily nutrition really, really simple. With so many stressors in life, it's difficult to maintain effective nutritional habits and give our bodies the nutrients it needs to thrive. Busy schedules, poor sleep, exercise, the environment, work stress, or simply not eating enough of the right foods can leave us deficient in key nutritional areas. Look, I'm guilty of all that, all right? Not eating well, not exercising all the time, busy schedule, just going for the easy things sometimes. And AG1 is part of my morning routine now. Now I just take it every morning when I get up. And 1 tasty scoop of AG1 contains 75 vitamins, minerals, and whole food sourced ingredients, including a multivitamin, multi-mineral, probiotic green superfood blend, and more in 1 convenient daily serving. Join the movement of athletes, moms, dads, rookies, first-timers, and everyone in between taking ownership of their daily health and focusing on the nutritional products they really need in the simplest manner possible. To make it easy, Athletic Greens is going to give you an immune-supporting free 1-year supply of vitamin D and 5 free travel packs with your first purchase if you visit athleticgreens.com/honeydew today. Again, simply visit athleticgreens.com/honeydew to take control of your health and give AG1 a try. Now, let's get back to the do. Man, I mean, how old do you feel on a given day? Like, where are you when you're on your board? Do you transport to a time? Do you feel ageless? Do you feel like, because I still feel like, I don't know. I feel like 25, 26, but the rest of my body's like bullshit.
I feel the same mentally for sure. I mean, I've learned a lot and learned how to process things better, but physically, it just, things get tight. That's what I noticed. But I've never taken a big break from skateboarding. So I feel like that's my secret, is that I'm always in the mode. And I can just go, like I went to my ramp yesterday, drop in, and I know I've got this warm-up routine that I can do, and that sort of tests how I'm feeling that day and what maybe I need to work on. But there are days when I get there and my body's just really stiff, and I push through it. But I can feel it for sure. And my neck is like, I've had so many whiplashes through the years. My neck's super stiff. And so that's the thing people notice usually physically. Like, what's wrong with your neck? I'm like, what's not wrong with my neck?
Yeah, what is not wrong with my
40 years of we call it chicken neck. This is when you come down the ramp, but you're kind of in the back seat, and then you end up shooting out when the flat, and then you get this sort of click in your neck, and you know it's going to be a bad day the next day.
All right, let's go. Let's do this. This is what I want to do. I wanted to just do some of the stuff off the top. Let's go back to the beginning, because obviously this road hasn't always been a smooth path. It's not for anyone, especially someone at your level. There's all the bumps and bruises in between. So I want to talk about, you say at 10, you quit baseball basically to start skating. That's where it really, right now though, what do you do physically to maintain your health?
Skate.
That's it? There's no yoga? No. What do you do to stay stretched and loose?
Skate.
Just it?
Yeah.
That's it. I love that.
I mean, I know there is a part of me that thinks with the stiffness, I could benefit from doing this yoga and stuff like that. I've just never had the patience
Yeah.
To get to go do something else. I do have I get body work done on my neck mostly by a guy who does chiropractic and also does sort of Asian medicine and stuff, and he's helped me immensely over the last 5 years.
You do the Y strap where they yank your neck out like Rock'em Sock'em robots?
None of that stuff.
Oh, it's so good.
No, he does. He mostly just works on right here and acupuncture and like yesterday, I went to him in the morning, went to my ramp, learned a new trick. So
yeah, I mean, I guess there's nothing that could really prepare you for the crash of an epic skateboard fall like that. Like, what could you really be doing that? Like, oh, this works. Nothing.
Yeah, I guess I never anticipate falling. I know the possibility is always there, and I've learned to take falls, obviously, and sometimes I've learned to fall safer than people would expect from great heights, if that makes sense.
Yeah, that's the other thing I was telling Els. Like, not only do you guys have to learn your trick, but you have to learn how to crash. I was at X Games a few years back in Minneapolis, and I'm watching these guys literally fly, and they know they're not going to make it, so they'll bail the board, but then they gracefully hit their knees and slide. I'm like, you have to learn how to do that.
That's the key,
yeah. You have to learn how to make a mistake.
When people want to learn how to skate vert ramps, that's usually the first thing I'm showing them is how to take a knee slide, because that is what's going to get them out of a situation safely. And that's not the same. You know, skating has all kinds of disciplines and styles, and so street skating isn't of that nature where you're not going to be sliding on your knees, jumping down 10 stairs. But in the case of ramps and pools and stuff, that is the way. And so that's what it's kind of strange. It's something that happened organically through the years. We were trying to figure out who was the first person to knee slide. And
oh, really?
That's a tough one, because knee pads went from volleyball pads, and then they got a little bit more padded and a little bit more advanced. But it wasn't until someone put a plastic cap on it that we realized, oh, we can just slide on our knees. Yeah.
Yeah. I've read before that playing in the NFL is equivalent to like a car wreck a week. I've read somewhere that rodeo cowboys, their average career between injuries is maybe 8 weeks before they're, pop an arm or whatever. Like how often, what's the longest time from an injury you've ever taken off from skating?
About 2 months. I broke my pelvis, and that was, if you want to talk about low lights, that was probably one of the lowest times of not my career, but my life and my motivation, because that seemed like it could have been a career ender.
How old were you?
Good question. I think I was 38.
And where were you?
36. I was at Bob Burnquist's ramp shooting an episode of Wild Boys.
Oh, okay.
And
damn, on the show. So this is
yeah.
Did this
it's well
make
documented.
The episode?
We had all the skating done before I got hurt, for the most part, for what they needed. So it's in the episode is done, like we're in it, and you wouldn't know any better if you watched it. But thankfully Jeff Tremaine, who's the director of Jackass and Wild Boys, and he locked the footage away and didn't ever even really acknowledge it. That was for my benefit. And then it wasn't until years later when I had finally recovered and MTV was doing Scarred. The show Scarred was like, what's your worst injury? And they hit me up and they said, what's your worst injury? I go, well, it was shooting for you guys.
No shit.
And they didn't even know.
Right.
And I said, well, you got to talk to Tremaine, and Tremaine gave it to him. And so it's there. But basically we had just come off, it was like 2 days after our Huck Jam tour that we did 30 shows across the country. On our ramp, we had one of those big air mega ramps jumps in the show. We had a loop in the show every night, right? We were doing this. And Bob told me, hey, the Wild Boys are going to come to my house because they have I think it was an orangutan that skates. And so they're going to,
of course,
they're going to bring the orangutan and he's going to skate my ramp. And then they want me to dress up in a monkey suit and we'll skate with the orangutan. And I was like, that sounds awesome, because I've been on tour for 5 weeks. I'll bring my kids. They can see the monkey, the primate. And that's super cool, right? And so I brought my kids. I brought my friend too because my kids were really young then. They were like 6 and 4 maybe, and I knew I was going to be skating. So we did the thing, the orangutan. It was amazing. I mean, he really did really skate. Yeah, he didn't like it if you got ahead of him though, because if you got ahead of him, he would jump off and come out after you. For real.
When did you realize that?
I saw that happen to Bob. Because Bob was skating with it first and he got ahead and I was like,
Man, I'm not fucking with an orangutan.
I'm standing back with that
hell
one.
Yeah, they'll rip your arms off.
So then we dress up in our monkey suits and we do a routine, like a doubles routine that we had done in all the nights of the Huck Jam. And then at some point, Bob has this loop at his house. His loop is super rickety. It's old. It's outdoors. It's wood. It's not the quality of the one that we were doing on the tour, but in our excitement, we said, the monkey loop, let's do the loop. Yeah, woo. And so we go over to his loop and I should have known right at this moment, but Bob dropped in and went around and fell. He didn't fall hard, but he fell on his way out. That's Bob's own personal loop.
Right.
That he can't make in this moment.
Yeah.
Right. And we've been doing, like I said, we've been doing it on our show every night. And so I'm thinking, just adjust for it. I went around and fell on the way out too, because it was so weathered that it was slow. And the first rule of doing loops is do not pump your legs all the way through. That's it. Like if anyone listening want to do a loop, here's the secret. You hold it for a half a pump because it's not a trick. It's actually a ride.
A momentum thing? It's
like when you ride a roller coaster and you go all the way around, you never know the moment you're exactly upside down. You know what I mean?
Yes,
because
I
there's so much inertia that's holding you to the track. It's like that, but you have to have the perfect amount of speed and the perfect amount of pressure on your legs pushing the board into the wall. If you let your legs extend, you got nowhere to go. And you come off.
So you're always going down, you're pressing in.
You're always pressing in, like sort of halfway, but you need the right amount of speed to do that. Bob's starting ramp was not steep enough to get that amount of speed with how weathered the ramp was. That's the key. So in my infinite wisdom, my next turn, I dropped in and I pumped going into the loop, full extension on my legs. And that's it. That's the kiss of death. So I'm spinning in the air as I'm going upward. So I actually spun up to the top and then kept spinning and landed on the ground.
You broke your pelvis in a gorilla suit?
Yeah. Broke my pelvis. Right, this thumb.
The orangutan skate by you and give you the finger. Like, that's what you get.
I don't remember much after that. I was out cold.
It knocked you out?
Yeah, I was out cold. Fractured my skull right here.
Oh, holy shit.
Yeah. And fractured my skull, fractured my thumb, broke my pelvis. I woke up, like, I've had concussions in the past, so I know, I sort of know the feeling and the protocol of it. I came to, even though I was probably talking and whatnot, but I came to like fully mentally when they were putting me in the ambulance because it hurt so much as they moved me in my hip that's kind of what shocked me awake. And I said, oh, something is wrong with my hip. And they said, oh, we'll x-ray it. They were just kind of playing it down. And I remember saying, where are my kids? And they said, oh, your friend already took them home. And luckily they were on the other side of the ramp. They didn't see me fall.
Good, yeah.
They just knew something had happened. So he took them home. And basically I spent about 6 weeks just sitting in bed. Because there wasn't much. It wasn't like they needed to fuse it together or anything. It was still in line, so they just let it heal. I let it heal, and then played a lot of video games during that time.
Are you good at your video game?
Yeah.
Are you good at your game? Are you?
Yeah, but we were between games at the time, so I played Gun.
You play? Okay.
Did you ever play that game?
I haven't. No.
Loosely based on Deadwood.
I love Deadwood.
Yeah. Really cool game, and
You're a Deadwood fan?
Yeah.
Oh, that's Shakespeare on television, man. I was so bummed when they took Deadwood off. I love Deadwood.
My brother actually got to work on that a little bit too.
Oh, really?
Yeah, with David Milch, because he's a writer. So, but in that time, and I know I gave you the long version of how I got hurt. In that time, was when I really had to dig deep because I felt like I lost my identity. All my success, everything I did was based on my physical act of skating up to that point in my life. And that was just taken away of my own doing, but gone. And I didn't know if I could make it back 100%. I had no idea. I had no idea if I would even be able to
is that where your mind's going? You're worried if you're ever going to be able to skate again, drop in again?
I think
what happens to your career?
It was more evident when I finally was starting to move around and get up, because that's when shit got real, because I couldn't put any weight on my leg and I was trying to pretend that I'm just going to push through this. And there's a point where you're a skater, you kind of learn to live with injuries or some sort of issue where you compensate for it, but you figure it out. This was not of that nature. This was like, I physically can't walk. Or if I'm walking after 10 minutes, I'm severely limping. And so that's when it was like, how am I ever going to skate again? And we had an exhibition scheduled for 2 months out in Orlando. And I just made that my goal. Like,
damn.
I'm gonna skate 2 months. It was 3 months after my injury, but once I started walking, it was like.
What was the full extent of your injuries? Broken pelvis? Anything else? Did you have any?
No,
concussion,
that was it.
Obviously.
Concussion, yeah.
You said it cracked you here too?
Yeah, fractured skull.
Fractured skull. Yeah. Jesus. And you're gonna try to do this in 2 months.
Yeah, 3 months from the injury, and so, but that was the goal, and that's what I needed. And I needed something to motivate me, because otherwise it was going to be a really slow process, and I didn't know what my inspiration was going to be. But at the same time, I didn't know how I was going to be performing at this exhibition, because that was a scary thought. So little by little, I started skating again. I got kind of my basic trick set back. I didn't have my pump, which is basically how you get the speed through the transition, through the radius of the ramp. I couldn't connect with that the way I used to. So I just sort of resigned to, I'm only going to be able to go this high.
Gotcha.
Maybe forever. Yeah. I don't know. Because I can't push through and get the speed. And ended up doing the demo. I mean, I think I did okay. I really couldn't tell you. It was all sort of it feels like a dream now. But after that, that's when I really started working at getting my skill set back. And it took me about a year.
A year.
Because it wasn't just the tricks, it was the confidence.
That's what I wanted to ask you, like the anxiety of like, can I do this?
You question everything.
Right. Everything.
It was like everything that I used to.
Before?
No.
Not to that level, I'm sure.
Not at all.
Not at all. Even when you first started?
I mean,
well, hell, you're 10 then. You don't give a fuck. You're bulletproof at 10.
When we were doing the show, just weeks prior, when we were doing the Huck Jam shows, the loop was like a toy. We were just, I would be doing like kickflips and shove it's on the deck and then drop into a loop and go into a routine. And it was like none of that. I never considered that it was going to be devastating or could be devastating. And then when it was like, what have you been doing all this time?
Yeah, tell me
all
about
these
that.
spins
How's that
and stuff?
Change you? Yeah.
Yeah, it was like, are you out of your mind? Like this stuff is all dangerous. I mean, that's where my mind started to go. And then as I started to develop my skills again, that started to fade. But there were a couple times that because I was the side of my pelvis that I broke is my right leg, and that's my front leg. So when I would be skating, I'd be favoring my back leg unknowingly, and quite a few times I ended up just falling backwards. One time I got another concussion because of that. Another time, my tail of my skateboard broke off as I was going through the flat.
Because you were leaning that far.
Because I was leaning that far, and I didn't realize it. And so I had to try to figure out how to compensate for that as well. And everything was just, my world was rocked, and my confidence was changed. But I finally got through it like a year later and started figuring out new tricks, and sort of all that time was, it was formative, but it started to fade.
Yeah. What about the anxiety for the Wild Boys crew and stuff? Are they like, oh my God, we might have just ruined Tony Hawk's
the next time I
career.
saw them, they still, well, so go after that. I mean, definitely Steve-O and Pontius and Tremaine were really freaked out. And after that, every time I would do something with Jackass, they were throwing me the tamest things that they had. And, like, they would send me a list of things. And I was like, you guys, do you want me to even stand on a skateboard?
Put one foot next to it, just wave.
Yeah, it was all like I could just tell that the stuff they were giving me was sort of the safer versions.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I love those guys, and it's always just so fun to be around them. And I'm in the intro to the new Jackass Forever, and I got hurt doing it. So
you did,
well, I mean, I didn't get hurt, but I left with a bloody hip.
I was gonna say, you're not leaving a Jackass set without something,
right?
All right, we did jump around a little bit. Let's go back to the beginning. So at 10, you start skating. Your dad says he supports it, does his 1 year in the president of the Little League, and now what? You're just off and running from 10? Is that it? Or do you play other sports, or are you just all in on skating?
No, all in on skateboarding. Okay. I would go whenever I could get a ride to the skate park. San Diego, the park was about 15 minutes from our house. And little did I know that as I dove into skateboarding was dying as an industry quickly, and all the parks were closing. So I just got lucky that one of the last ones was in San Diego. And that was my home away from home. Like that's where I found my crew. That's where if it wasn't at school, that's where you found me. And it was just this band of misfits. And everyone found skateboarding, and so we all found each other, and it was so fun. And I could never figure out why kids my age didn't like it. I think it was just more that there was a stigma that it was a fad, it was a toy, and grow up.
Right.
And I'm 12. Like I'm still a kid, but there are guys at the skate park that are 18. And I'm looking up to them because some of them are pro. Not that it meant that they were making a living at it, but they had that stature and they had the skills. So I wanted to emulate them. But it was, there was no future in it. And I didn't think I was choosing a future.
Is this fucking just insane to me? There's no future in this sport. And then I'm sitting here and talking to the future. You're the future. Thank God you fucking quit Little League, bro. Thank fucking God you quit Little League.
The hardest thing for me during that time was that because I was so small and skinny, and I kind of developed my own way of doing aerials and stuff and doing little tricks below the coping because I just didn't have the strength or the experience to do big airs and stuff like that. That was it's Dogtown and Z-Boys. It was all about style and flow and aerials. And I was like this little pixie kid just like reaching down and trying to maneuver my giant board under my feet. And so I was very much outcast from this outcast society. Like we're all these weirdos that skate, and then I'm the weirdo in the weird crowd because that kid, like
you're the comedians, dude. I'm telling you, the HoneyDew, bro. The theater kids don't want to hang out with us. That's what I try to tell comedians all the time. Like once you're like, oh, we're the weirdos. Mm-hmm. Once you realize like it's us, then you're fucking good.
Right.
When you get around these people, you're like, oh, okay, this feels right.
Yeah.
These lunatics feel right. Yeah.
Yeah, but that was very isolating. That was hard, especially at a young age. But luckily I found a couple friends that kind of had the same vibe and were the same age and felt like they were intimidated by the other guys as well. So we found each other and we just went with it. None of that was going to make me give it up. It brought me too much for my sense of self and my confidence and my identity. It was like, that was it. I wanted to skateboard forever.
A lot of people didn't even make resolutions this year, and you know what? I get it. But that doesn't mean you shouldn't still find a way to shake things up, whether it's by switching up your workout routine or going someplace new. So whatever you challenge yourself with this year, there's no better way to do it than with a pair of Raycon wireless earbuds. in your ears. Raycon wireless earbuds are the best way to bring audio with you because no matter how much you shake things up, literally, no matter how much you shake, you know they won't fall out of your ears. Their everyday earbuds look, feel, and sound better than ever. There's also an awareness mode for when you need to listen to your surroundings so you can take Raycons with you wherever you go. With optimized gel tips for the perfect in-ear fit, these earbuds are so comfortable and they will not budge. Trust me. I tell you every week, I use my Raycons all the time. Exercise and traveling, they're the best. I have never lost one. They don't fall out, stay right where they're supposed to stay, all right? And they also offer 8 hours of playtime and a 32-hour battery life, and they're priced just right. You get quality audio at half the price of other premium audio brands. It's no wonder Raycon's everyday earbuds have over 48,000 5-star reviews. Right now, HoneyDew listeners can get 15% off their Raycon order at buyraycon.com/honeydew. That's buyraycon.com/honeydew to save 15% on Raycons. BUY raycon.com/honeydew. Today, I'm excited to announce Manscaped launched their Ultra Premium Collection. Believe it or not, it's for your not-so-private parts. I'm talking about a leveled-up hygiene routine with your favorite manly scent. This is an all-in-one skin and hair care kit for the everyday man and covers you from head to toe, literally. Manscaped is trusted below the waist. Now trust them with the rest. Join the 4 million men worldwide who trust Manscaped by going to manscaped.com for 20% off and free shipping with the code HoneyDew. You know we love Manscaped over here. I use it all the time over there, trimming everything up and keeping it clean. You know what I'm saying? And now you can enhance your perfect grooming routine with their Ultimate Premium Collection. This package includes a Manscaped Premium Deodorant. No, not for your balls, for your stanky armpits. This deodorant dries clear, is aluminum-free, and smells like their signature scent. There's hydrating body spray, all right? So if you have tattoos or issues with dry skin, this spray-on lotion is designed to keep your skin feeling moisturized, smooth, and smelling fresh. There's a body wash to lather you up with the infused aloe vera and sea salt shower gel, and there's a 2-in-1 shampoo and conditioner to clean your scalp with an easy one step, all right? Plus, a free gift, you get a 3-pack set of lip balm that's made up with ingredients such as vitamin E, peppermint, eucalyptus oil to keep those chappers feeling moist. All of these products are cruelty-free, paraben-free, vegan-friendly, and dye-free. The best ingredients with zero compromise, all right? Get 20% off and free shipping with the code HoneyDew at manscaped.com. That's 20% off and free shipping with the code HoneyDew at manscaped.com. The power of attraction is now in a bottle, thanks to Manscaped. Now, let's get back to the do. All right, so how quickly do you start seeing a change in your life? Like, what age are you approached by sponsors and all of that? Like, when's it really start to shift?
Around age 12, right when I turned 12, there was an event in my home park at Oasis Skate Park, and the Dogtown team manager at the time was brought a couple of the Dogtown pros, and my dad offered all of them to stay at our house because we live nearby, and there was no as a kid, I don't know understand this. There's no budget. They're barely scraping by as a skateboard company. And so he invites them to stay at our house, like with their dog. And I was like, this is awesome. Like, pro skaters stay at my house. And then her name is Denise. She gave me one of Mike Smith. Mike Smith was the pro for Dogtown, one of his old skateboards. And she's like, well, thanks a lot for letting stay. I think you have a lot of potential. Here's Mike's old skateboard. And that was my first sponsored deck.
Wow. Okay.
So I was loosely on Dogtown. For
no
that.
shit. All right.
Yeah. And then eventually I started to come into my
That's
own.
what they say, hip pocketed by Dogtown.
Pretty much, yeah.
Yeah.
Flow. I was on Dogtown Flow.
All right.
I mean, that was it. There was 4 people on the team, but
whatever.
But then I started to come into my own and learn some tricks, and then they started to give me more support in the form of skateboards on a regular basis. And then I started to sort of rise in the ranks. And then at some point, I wasn't hearing from Dogtown. We were unable to get skateboards. We would go straight to the board pressing company because it was in San Diego, luckily. And so we would go get skateboards off the press that had no graphics, and I would just cover it with Dogtown stickers. That was like, those are my sponsored skateboards. And then at some point we couldn't get those, and it was like, I didn't understand what was happening. Not long after that, Stacy Peralta called me, long distance.
Yeah, I remember long distance.
Stacy Peralta's calling long distance. And right?
Yeah,
and then
that was a big deal.
And then he called and he said, "Hey, Tony, I heard that I heard Dogtown went out of business. It's news to me, but now I understand why I'm not getting skateboards." And he said, "We'd like you to come up to Marina Del Rey." I live in San Diego. Marina Del Rey was the hub of Dogtown Z-Boys, punk rock music. Like that was it. That was the epicenter of skateboarding. And you had to be hardcore to be accepted there. He's like, "I want you to come up to Marina and talk about riding for Powell-Peralta, the Bones Brigade."
Damn.
And I was scared because I didn't think I was at that level. I didn't think they would accept me. I mean, I was excited to have Stacy's approval, but that was huge. You know, that's like, "Hey, I know you've been playing with your friends on the playground, but we want you to play for the Bulls."
Yeah, right.
You know, just skip all these steps. Because I believe in you.
Yeah, holy shit.
And so I went up there, and it felt kind of like a tryout. And I learned, the marina had a famous keyhole, and I jumped the gap of the keyhole, which was only reserved for a few select pros, like that, the only people that could do that. And I think that when Stacy saw me really going for it like that, he's like, "Okay, well, we got you." And so then I was on Powell-Peralta, and just doing everything I can to earn the validation of the other guys on the team.
And how old are you when you get your first board? When do you start talking to you about your board?
So then I'm 12. I'm riding for Powell-Peralta. I rise very quickly through the amateur ranks.
And how are you doing that? By winning contests?
Winning
and things
contests,
like that?
yeah.
Okay.
And learning how to skate other terrain. I was really good in my home park, but then I had to figure out how to skate other terrain because every park was so different. And they're all, I mean, if you look back at them now, they're all built really badly.
Yeah.
Compared to how parks are now.
Right.
They were built by pool manufacturers. And you were just lucky if the transitions were really smooth. Marina was great. Del Mar was terrible, but I think that became my home park.
Have you ever skated the Cove?
Sure.
You have?
Yeah.
No shit.
Yeah.
That's where I take my stepson back in the day. I'm just curious.
But the Cove is like decades past the stuff we were dealing with. Yeah. And even the Cove is old now.
It is definitely old now. Yeah, they have done nothing to it over there.
Yeah. But so I learned to skate other terrain. I ended up winning the amateur series by the time I was 14. And the only the sort of unspoken progression from that is you're going to turn pro. And a couple of the guys that I was skating with at the time had already moved up to the pro ranks, and they weren't even really winning the amateur events like I was. So if I was going to stay as an amateur, it was just more like, dude, come on. Like, you got to step up.
Yeah.
And so one event, I was filling out the entry. I mean, this is how I turned pro. I'm filling out the entry form to the Whittier Turkey Shoot.
That's what it's called?
Yeah. So it's like Thanksgiving. So this would be 1982. I'm 14. Yeah. And you fill out your name, your address, your sponsors, and then there's a box that says amateur and a box that says pro. And I'm looking at it, and Stacy's looking over my shoulders. I'm filling it out. And I was like, "What do I do?" And he goes, "Hey, it's whatever you feel, man." And then I just ticked pro, and he's like, "All right."
There it is.
That was it. I was pro.
At the Turkey Bowl.
At the Turkey Shoot.
Turkey Shoot.
I ended up getting fourth place, first pro contest, which felt amazing. I was out of the money though. $150 first place, 100 second, 50 third.
And you almost all you get is fourth.
I got fourth.
Yeah.
But that was a good introduction. And also it wasn't at my home park. So I felt pretty good about it.
So look, I know the skater, the punk rock world, all of this, you're a kid. You have no idea about business, and all this is sort of new too. Like skating's, you said it was pretty much dead, and now it's coming back in this way where you're involved in it. How are you just doing what the fuck feels good and right, or are you early on starting to have a business mind about the sport as well?
No, I had no business.
Nothing, just being.
No.
Right.
I just wanted to learn tricks. That's all I cared about.
So
and
when
even if I was winning an event, or even if I went to an event, I did well. The next day, I was at the park trying to learn a new trick.
Right.
That was in fact, if anything, the competitions were stifling because I had to be conservative in my skating because you had to stay on. And then once I was released from that, I could go try whatever I wanted and bail all day and figure out some new moves.
Got it. All right. So at what age then do you really start to see things shift big time?
I would say when I was about 16, 17, we started making significant money for anyone or anyone our age.
So as a dad, you look at your kids when they are 16 or 17. Can you imagine them being in, right? And even having to deal with any of the stuff you had to deal with? Isn't that it's crazy? You're
crazy.
A child.
But also, but there was no one had been through that. We didn't have anyone to emulate or to learn from. Stacy was helping us with that. But all of a sudden, we were just, none of us, like the Bones Brigade, especially Cab, McGill, Lance Mountain, Tommy Guerrero, Rodney Mullen, none of us got into skateboarding to be rich or famous.
Right.
And suddenly we are, in a sense, rich and famous. And it's like, we didn't ask for this. We just want to skate. And it was weird to have people ask you for your autograph or, showing up to your hotel. And it was just like, what is this? And so when people get into other sports or entertainment industries, that's sometimes the goal. Many times that's the goal, right? And so when they get it, they're all about it. We weren't all about it. We were just awkward. So that was a weird thing to figure out. Stacy definitely helped me with it because there would be kids standing there at an event staring at me holding a skateboard with my name on it. And I don't know what to do. What do you want from me?
Yeah, right.
I'm awkward in my own skin. I'm only 17. I'm trying to figure out like how to talk to girls. I don't know. And so finally he's like, hey man, just go talk to them. Like they're excited to see you. He came to see you. You just go, They
know who you are.
Yeah, like break out of your own comfort zone and go and that helped me a lot. And I think I learned it even more so having my own kids and seeing them interact with people that they look up to and knowing how it can affect them either positively or negatively and also having my own interactions with pros growing up that, I had one pro spit on me.
No.
Yeah. And then I had another one like hand me a sticker.
Guy fucking spit on you?
Yeah. Those are in the days of punk rock. And like I said, I was a scrappy little kid and it was like,
I mean, you want to say who it was?
It's well known. It's well known. And I don't like, he's fallen on hard times and I'm not trying to like, I don't harbor that. It's something that I lived through, but also it's the 70s. Like we were bullied. You know what I mean? That we didn't know that at the time or have resources for it. We just got picked on.
Well, so I want to ask you that because skating is definitely punk rock. And how do you, as Tony Hawk, juggle, once you become Tony Hawk, now you're probably a sellout. Now you're not cool. And now you got to keep proving yourself to the young punk rock generation the entire time, which you fucking definitely have. But how does it shift from being one of us to now you're not one of them in their eyes? Like, what is that like?
Well, I think that because I grew up with all of that flack and all the haters, so to speak, once I got to a point where, yes, I kind of went through a few phases of success. So in the 80s, there was this high success until around 1989, and then it was all faded away. We weren't getting offers from non-endemic sponsors, so I wasn't getting offers from McDonald's or Jeep or whatever it was because that skateboarding hadn't broken that glass ceiling yet. But once it came back around in the late 90s, that's when things got really big and serious and there were big sponsor dollars happening. So I already had lived a life where people were like, people were giving me a hard time for my style because they're like, he's just a robot. He does circus tricks. He spins his board, whatever. And that's fine if that's how you see me, but that was my motivation. But at some point, I learned sort of all the other elements of what to do on a skateboard where they couldn't really say those things anymore. You know, that was sort of my reply to them. It was like, well, okay, I can do this too, but I choose to focus on tricks. And then when things came back around in the 90s and there were big sponsorships, people were like, oh, he's a sellout. And I was like, dude, I'm doing this for all the same reasons. I did it for no money 5 years ago.
Right.
For
forever.
Forever. Yeah. I mean, I did it, you know, I was trying to raise a family, paycheck to paycheck, doing demos in parking lots 3 a day for $100.
Risking my neck.
Yeah.
Literally.
And whatever. And I'm not trying to, I'm not trying to just highlight that, but that's the reality of it. And so when we came back around and was like, hey, McDonald's wants to pay you. Hell yeah, I was eating McDonald's back then, eating it now.
Yeah, hell yeah.
You know, like I lived on Subway. I lived on Subway for 2 summers.
Yeah, for real. I know.
And now I'm getting deals with Subway. Like it's amazing. And so it's not. I haven't traded my values in for this success. It's just who I am. And so at some point, that's how I got through it. It's just like, well, I know what the reasons are. I know what my beliefs are, and this is who I am. And if you don't like it, if you think that's a sellout, then that's on you. And maybe if you had the success and you got offered a deal from Subway, you could turn it down.
Yeah.
I'm trying to feed my family.
Yeah.
Trying to pay rent and ride my skateboard because this is what all of this is incidental to riding my skateboard.
That's it. It's hard for other people to understand that when you're in it. Like all this is cool, but it starts and ends right here. But in those slow
days, I was doing odd jobs. Like
talk to me about. You said the sponsorships went away. You said 89. It got a little slow.
I say 91 was sort of when everything dropped.
So what does Tony Hawk? If you're not skating, what do you do to bring in money?
I had I borrowed money from my parents.
You really did?
Yeah. I think I borrowed $4,000 from them to buy an editing bay. And the editing bay I bought at a consignment shop that was already outdated by the time I bought it, but it's all I could afford.
Right.
So I bought, and video nerds will like this, I bought 3 3/4 tape decks so that I could have an A and B.
I used to be a PA.
So I could have an A and B source going into a final output. And then I had a video toaster. And the video toaster was one of the first consumer video editing gears. It did not editing, just effects.
Mm-hmm.
And so I started doing that and I started making, I became an editor for hire for other skate companies. So I put together a few skate videos during that time. But as it came to be, the decks I bought were terrible and they kept eating tapes. And there was a moment where all I'm trying to do is get this $1,000 I got offered to edit this video.
Yeah.
That's what that will pay the mortgage and they'll get me by another month. And I'm in I converted one part of the garage to a little editing bay. So I'd walk through like all of our shit and then just like sit there through the night doing stuff. And I just had a few things to cut and the tape just locked up and broke the tape. And then the machine froze and I'm lost. It's done. Like this,
it's done. There's no digital backup.
There's no digital backup. Yeah. This is physical tape. And I had taped the tape back together a few times. Like I wasn't above that. That has worked for me in the past. This machine is frozen up. It's not working anymore. And I just saw everything ending right then. And I just put my head down on the desk, started bawling.
Did you really?
Yeah, because I was like, I don't know what to do. This was my only link to making a living right now. And it's done. I ended up, I'm living in I don't even know where Fallbrook is.
Mm-hmm.
But Fallbrook was, I moved there so that I could have room to build ramps. My ramps are all falling apart because I can't afford to keep them up. We can barely afford to live there now. I've got 2 mortgages. I'm renting the other place. I called the consignment shop when they opened at 9 a.m. They're in Burbank. And I said, oh, this tape thing froze up. He's like, well, come up here. We'll reset it. I go, well, can you just tell me how to reset it? He's like, no, you gotta come up here. You gotta come here. They think I'm in LA. I'm like, so I drive like 3 hours to this consignment shop in Burbank, who they don't give a fuck about me. Like they're just annoyed that I'm even calling them about, I mean, they're not giving any warranties out.
Right. Yeah. They're
you know what I mean? They're just like, oh, there's some dude that bought. So I come in, the guy pulls 2 screws off the back, opens it up, hits a reset button.
6-hour round trip for that.
But I was back in business.
Holy shit, that's the easiest thing.
I'll never forget looking at him. I was like, you could have told me how to do that. He goes, oh, yeah, but we don't want people taking these apart. I'm like, these aren't even under your warranty. Like,
yeah, you don't
who
sell
cares?
just these.
Yeah.
There's a couch over there, motherfucker.
This thing was used when I bought it. So, but then I learned how to reset the tape or reset the player, drove back, did the thing, but then realized quickly that.
How long are you editing? How long is this little?
It was off and on for about a year.
Damn, that's a long time to be out of what you love and your passion.
I was still skating. I mean, I was
making money.
I was hustling. Sometimes I would be hired as a consultant sometimes for shoots because at this point I'm 24. That's supposedly too old to be skating for a living.
Is that right? That's the
Absolutely,
number.
Yeah. I mean, at that time. And so, but my name was out there. So for instance, I want to say it was a Mountain Dew commercial. They said, hey, we want to hire you to get other skaters and to maybe build a ramp for this shoot. Like, yes, please. Okay, we'll pay you $500. Okay. And give you $100 to build a little jump ramp for this thing. I'm like, awesome. So I built a jump ramp, borrowed someone's truck, drove it to Hollywood. It actually flew out of the. This is not a joke. We built the jump ramp, barely put it in this guy's truck that luckily I got to borrow, and the wind caught it. It blew up, crashed, broke one piece of it completely off, and I was like, dude. So managed to put it back in, get it to the set, and put like a sheet of metal over where it was missing, and it worked. And that was my $500. It was just stuff like that. Like it was very much paycheck to paycheck, but I wanted to be in skateboarding. So I was doing everything I could to just make myself out there to get work.
I read a lot and people say this too. A big part of success is staying in the game. And you, even though you weren't in, you still managed to stay in and stay present and stay in that game, even though you're over here trying to edit and do everything you can to pay bills and shit. So I think I really believe that's a huge part of it, because at any moment you could have stepped out and that's it.
Oh,
Once
sure.
you sever that's it.
Yeah. And it's funny because looking back at those times, yeah, they were trying, but I don't think of them as like the most depressing. It was just more that these were the things I was going to go through, and these were my learning phases, and I learned a lot doing that.
And when do you see it shift and start to rise again?
Probably after like the second X Games around '96. Yeah, because skateboarding was kind of back on the radar, or back in the collective consciousness of mainstream media. And it had gone through a whole revolution in those dark years of street skating and tricks. And, people didn't realize what was possible on a skateboard, and they saw the X Games like, what is going on here?
Yeah, seriously.
People are, this is acrobatic, and this is crazy, and this is like magicians. And then kids took to it because they're like, these guys are risking their lives and they love it, and they're doing it for no money. And these basketball players won't even give us the time of day.
Yeah.
And it was just, I feel like, and they identify with that so greatly that kids just.
Boom.
Yeah, that was it.
How old were you when you had your first board?
First pro model?
Yeah.
14.
What's that like to ride your first pro model? 14 or ninth grade.
Yeah, it's weird. What's it like? It's putting extra pressure on yourself that you better deserve it.
I remember
That's how I
all.
felt.
Yeah, I mean, your boards. And how many different boards have you had over the years? How many different versions? Tons.
Tons, yeah.
Would you have a favorite to ride still?
My current shape, I've been riding for probably like 10 years.
Yeah, the
So,
same one.
Yeah.
So, as a dad now, like, do all of your kids skate?
They do, yeah.
They do.
Yeah, my daughter, she's shied away from it in recent years, but all the boys, yeah.
All right. So here's what I mean. You've done so many things: TV, movies, all of it. Like, I know you have to get out of here, and I want to respect your time and everything. So I'm going to ask you this last question here. After everything we've talked about today, the things you've been through, the fears, the insecurities, the anxiety. 14 is your own fucking. I mean, it's insane to have your own board. So, what advice would you tell 16-year-old Tony Hawk?
What advice? Work on your relationships. I mean, that was definitely the biggest challenge in my life and something that I had to come to terms with in a very serious way about 10 years ago and try to figure out why I couldn't make relationships work, more like intimacy issues. And I did a lot of work on it and leaned into getting help. I think I would tell myself, my 16-year-old self, go get help.
That's great. That's great advice. Dude, thank you. This is a dream come true. Thank you for
thanks
doing
for having
this.
me.
Again, if you'd like to promote anything, definitely Hawk vs. Wolf, your documentary coming up.
Yeah, it's kind of where we're at. I'm gonna. I don't know if people are listening in Europe, but I'll be. I'm doing a European speaking tour, in July and early August.
What does that entail?
I'm going to venues and just sort of telling my story. I've done a lot of speaking gigs through the years, usually for conferences or corporate events. But this is just mine only. So I'll be telling stories and, just sort of my career arc and funny anecdotes. And I promise I'm funny.
Dude, this has been great, man.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, for
Yeah,
real.
man. Thanks for
As
having me.
always, Ryan Sickler on all social media, ryansickler.com. We'll talk to y'all next week.